The COVID-19 virus has greatly affected the lives of people all over the world and presented Americans with new and difficult challenges. To help support the veterans and their loved ones during this trying time, Hiring America is speaking with experts and organizations across the country to discuss the impact the virus has on the veteran community and to provide tips on how to navigate this current crisis. This week, we're speaking with Dr. Chrisanne Gordon, a rehabilitation physician and founder of the Resurrecting Lives Foundation, a nonprofit dedicated to increasing awareness for the treatment of veterans struggling with traumatic brain injuries as a result of their service. Dr. Gordon, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very passionate about our veterans and what they do for us all the time. So we really appreciate this opportunity.
What have you been hearing from our veterans since the COVID-19 outbreak in March?
Our Resurrecting Lives Foundation deals with veterans who have had difficulties with traumatic brain injuries, who have post-traumatic stress disorder. They're not even thinking about themselves. What can I do? What can I do for my community? What can I do for my nation? What do you think that this is going to do to us as a nation? It just is a very uplifting thing. As a matter of fact, I think they're much more energized and cohesive than they were before they had what they were perceiving as a mission, something for them to do. They are service personnel and they want to continue, to serve our nation, which is very, very uplifting.
What advice do you give them when they say, we want to give back, we want to do something during this crisis?
You know what I found out, since this is so new to all of us, never been through a pandemic before, I really asked them, first of all, where are you located? Because what you're going to be able to do depends so much right now on what part of the country you're located in. We've had numerous calls from New York, New Jersey, the kind of epicenter, as well as our epicenter in Ohio, which is in Northeast Ohio, Cleveland and Youngstown. And what I tell those veterans is right now, the best thing you can do is stay in, take care of yourself, take care of your family. Do not get out there and start going door to door like some of them want to do and make sure that everybody's okay. I said, because we really don't know enough about the infectivity of this particular COVID-19 virus. Our rural veterans, it's a little bit different because in the rural communities, number one, the virus, at least in Ohio and most of our rural communities, has not hit that hard. And you have a lot of people who are without information because they don't have high-speed internet, and they don't have the ability to see what's going on a moment-to-moment basis like our vets do. And what I found out is so many of them have now connected with their communities, either with the church leaders or with the community leaders. And that has been a very good service to all of the rural communities throughout our country.
Dr. Gordon, we hear about this time and time again in the news, keeping a schedule and how important that is. And we know that our veterans are very used to keeping a very routine schedule. Why is this more important than ever before at this time?
It is so important on your body to go to bed at the same time, get up at the same time, eat at the same time. And now I add with our veterans, wash your hands, multiple times during the course of the day, kind of get it on schedule. What we know from research is, our body has a whole lot of different hormones that elevate in the morning and then go down at night and vice versa with other ones. You don't want to mess with the body's circadian rhythm, you particularly in a time of stress, because if you get off by an hour of when you go to bed or two, pretty soon you're up all night. And if you're up all night, then you get fatigued. And when you get fatigued, your immunity, your body's own ability to fight off infection really goes down, and it goes down at a very huge slant. So that's why keeping a schedule is just so important.
Veterans have so many traits that they acquired in the field as service members that really prepare them, I think, to handle this horrible challenge that we're all facing. But unfortunately, a lot of them are also dealing with mental health issues, with post-traumatic stress disorder, with traumatic brain injuries. I know something you're very familiar with. Tell me how that makes them more vulnerable to this situation and what they might be able to do now to be able to handle this.
Oh, that's a really good question. And thank you so much for asking it. Anybody who's had a traumatic brain injury, and we know that 25 to 30% of our service members have, is also a setup for developing post-traumatic stress disorder. What it does is it gives them a heightened sense of awareness. So we're already getting so much information, and so much of it is distressful. It makes them much more aware of it than a normal person would be. And their military service makes them want to act on it which they're not able to do. So that's two major stresses. So one of the things that I've gotten together is I tell them there are different meditation apps. There's a app that says Be Calm. There's another one called Headspace. These are the ones that my veterans like very well. And a lot of times they will get their buddies on with them. Having that camaraderie of people that they served with is very, very helpful to them.
What are some tips to maintain that sense of mindfulness? Is meditation the key? Are there some easy meditation practice tips that you can give us that everybody can easily do at home?
There really are. And I have to tell you, I became a big fan of transcendental meditation through my veterans, as a matter of fact. I'm a fairly hyper individual, and I believed I am never going to meditate. I will never be able to do that. That's for sure. And I only went to one of the transcendental meditation classes here in Columbus, Ohio, because a couple of my vets asked me to go with them. And they realize that, they spend their whole time in service, whether it's 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, 32 years, being on high alert. Well, when you have your fight or flight hormones working that long, it's hard to calm that down with 2 or 3 days of transition back to the civilian world. So what transcendental meditation does, and we've proven this with studies, is it helps to connect the front of the mind, the thinking part of the mind. So instead of just reacting, you actually take a moment and think about the consequences for that action, and are there other ways that you can react other than with that hyperadrenaline response? Because these are really unusual times, we've been very blessed that the folks from the David Lynch Foundation have decided to accept that challenge. And Bob Roth, who is the executive director, now has times across the country, several times a day. You can dial in a phone number. He will talk about meditation for about 10 minutes. Go into meditation. He'll say, for those of you who don't know exactly how to do this, get in a quiet space or come back in 20 minutes. And then he ends with a quote that kind of helps you kind of get through the day and charge on. So it is, even for those people that can't do transcendental meditation, you can do some form of meditation. And then he will invite you to speak to your local group to see whether or not they're able to do anything by Zoom until such time as they can get you in there and do the face-to-face, which is all important. So that is available on their website. You can check out those things as well as on our website.
We are so focused on making sure that we can help our veterans find jobs. And unfortunately, right now, there are a lot of people, not just veterans, looking for work, those who have been laid off. What's your advice to veterans watching right now in that position and really feeling distraught about it?
For those veterans who maybe don't really have a job to go back to now, or were not as enthusiastic about their job, I said, spend some time at some of the websites that have job availability. The Veterans Administration at va.gov has a whole page of job availability, not just in the VA, but jobs available throughout the country, both that and a career center, and how you can get hooked up with training. Some of the other veteran service organizations, you can call the veteran service organization in your community to see what they may know. They may know people in the area. The Rotary Club International, they are great at helping veterans, and so many of them are community leaders. With our military, the one thing that we're sure is that they will bring their brothers and sisters with them. And I think we can all learn from that because we've kind of gotten away with it. They represent 1% of our nation's population, and they do so much for us and are doing so much for us today that I really do appreciate this opportunity to be able to speak a bit for them, and I have their permission to do so, and let the nation know that they are here to serve, and that they are very valuable to us all the time.
Dr. Gordon, thank you so much for taking some time to talk to us. We really appreciate your insight and truly are grateful for all of the support that you provide our veterans.
Thank you so much.
For more tips and information, please visit resurrectinglives.org.